position not too far away from green flag stops. We'll have him when we return to Pocono. Clint Bowyer's got it working today at Pocono. Lap 45 just complete. Bowyer took over the lead about 10 laps ago, and he continues to dominate, and it's easy to update where the Gillette Young Guns are running in this race because nearly all of them are up front. They've got the top 3 positions, 4 in the top 9, and Newman, Edwards, and Logano not bad themselves. Fans, be sure to visit your local Target store to pick up the new Gillette Fusion ProGlide razor. And I should say, Wally, you look extra clean shaven today.
That glide, smooth glide.
It's like a comb on your skin. Although I still think it's funny.
7th spot. I mean, he's hanging tough right there. And you see Jimmy Johnson continuing to march forward in that 48 car.
You think they made him mad? What's wrong with 48? What's wrong with a 48? Do you think they just made him mad?
But but it's like Jimmy said the same thing in his interview. He looks back at a few races and really, he got hit by a missile, like he said at Darlington. There's your finish. He'd already been in the wall at Charlotte, so you got to give him a little bit because you don't know where the rear end was knocked out from under that thing, left or right, when it got away from him. But he's had a shot at winning. You look at the All-Star race, you look at Dover. I mean, and he said it. I made a couple of mistakes, okay, and that's pretty big, man. When Jimmy Johnson makes a mistake, because you just don't expect it from that team.
13 races in, 13 to go to the chase. He and Denny Hamlin have each won 3 races as he goes to the inside of Montoya, and we'll see if he can get him here in the tunnel turn. If he matches what he did in the second half of the regular season as he did in the first, that'll give him 6 wins in the chase. He'll take it. Rudiman on pit road, Phil.
David Rudiman said the car is way too tight. It just feels like it doesn't have any grip. He saw the track bar adjustment in the right rear corner. 4 tires for David Rudiman, Matt.
Kurt Busch, one of the last cars on the lead lap. Remember, he had to come back in for that valve stem cap. He says the car has major issues. If we get a caution, he said, think about maybe making a shock change or a right front spring change. They made a track bar adjustment. Absolutely no grip. Too free on exit. Meanwhile, Tony Stewart making his way in. The Hendrick engine guys, he said, this motor is really running today, so they should be proud. The biggest issue on the 14, the car just has a little bit of issue with being too free off 3. Meanwhile, the 88, Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s in. You can already see they've got the wedge adjustment completed and the track bar adjustment in that back window. Air pressure change as well. His biggest issue, just too free, like so many other cars. He's away. And Jamie McMurray, champion, the biggest issue he had today was down in turn 3. They made a chassis adjustment on the last stop. Air pressure changed this one as well. Marty?
Ryan Newman said his car was, quote, ugly loose. So they did a track bar and also a wedge adjustment, trying to tighten it up and make it a little less ugly. The leaders are coming right now. Ralph?
Todd Devnich, the gas catch can man over there working on the chassis adjustments of the number 9 of Casey Kane. It was pretty loose. Better when the clouds came out. They're going to make a right rear air adjustment to a wedge and a track bar, Marty.
Kyle Busch said the last change is what I want. I want a little bit more of it. That was air pressure. Dave Rogers gives it to him. A little bit of a slow stop, but they also did clean the grill of that 18 car. Phil?
Juan Montoya just now leaving pit road. Car was a little bit too free up off the corners. They put some ledge in the left rear corner and a fuel air pressure adjustment for Juan Montoya.
Scheduled green flag pit stop starting at lap 47. All these drivers had been in under caution at lap 17. That was a competition caution. Here's the leader.
And Clint Bowyer comes to a stop at him. No adjustments planned for the 33. Shane asked him, any adjustments? How's the car? He said, car is good. Solid stop so far, Marty.
Denny Hamlin coming down pit road, Matt. He said it was just really a little bit too tight going into turn 1 especially. And Mike Ford asked him, is it the track that's tightening up? He said a little bit. So all they're going to do, air pressure here for Denny Hamlin and 4 tires for him. Further up pit road, Jeff Gordon said, guys, I'm still way too loose. They go down 1 round on the track bar, trying to tighten that car up. And for Jeff Burton, he said, I need more rear grip. So it'll be air pressure for the 31. All of these guys pitting right now.
Wally, Kyle, you remember in our race analysis earlier today what the pit road speed was?
Yep, 55.
Someone should tell Matt Kenseth coming to pit road to pay his debt in the last scoring segment. He was too fast, just over 60 miles an hour.
It's easy to do, especially, and I don't remember who he came out next to, but I was watching somebody, I don't know if it was Montoya or who it was, but he left with somebody, and it's easy to speed when somebody's right next to you leaving pit lane.
48 is in front of Ralph.
Yeah, 4 tires and fuel for Jimmy Johnson. They're also making a chassis adjustment. He wanted to get a little bit looser from the center off of turn number 1. That's a big issue for him. Bit of a problem with the left rear tire on Jimmy Johnson's car. They had a great stop the first time, gained a lot of spots during that competition caution. Cost him a few seconds here.
Yeah, it actually started on the right rear, Ralph, and that was his problem. He was a little bit slow on the right rear, which took him time to get over on the left side. But you're right, that did cost him a couple extra seconds. And around this place, boy, that's a lot of time under green.
Jimmy Johnson had stayed on the racetrack, and I believe was credited with leading a lap. But the green flag stops are completed. It's cycled through, and Clint Bowyer back out front at Pocono. Clint Bowyer last went to victory lane at Richmond in May of 2008. Took over the race lead here this afternoon at Pocono at lap 38. He's led every lap since. And prior to going to break, I misspoke. I said Jimmy Johnson actually led a lap in that exchange of green flag pit stops. He actually did not get credit with leading a lap, and they lost some ground for a couple of different reasons, Wally.
If just watch the right rear tire changer, he pulls the wheel off. When the wheel goes back on, it looks like a lug nut falls off, and he's got to take a little extra time putting it back on. Maybe that's 2 seconds, okay? But it did hold him up 2 seconds. The problem is that 2 seconds on pit lane cost him 7 seconds to the leader once we got things sorted back out on the racetrack. So that's something, you know, we always talk about mistakes on pit lane. A little mistake, a 1 or 2 second mistake on pit lane is huge at a place like Pocono because you're running 200 miles per hour down the straightaways.
And look, I've been on both sides of this coin. I'll say there's nothing worse than driving your butt off and passing somebody, okay, 2 or 3 times, and then every time you come down pit road or have a mistake happen, and now you're behind them and you got to go work them again because they've already learned your tricks on how to work them. On the reverse side of that, there's nothing worse than being a pit crew and getting your driver out 6 spots in front of the guy he was racing, and then he gives it up to the guy on the racetrack too, because I've been on pit crews too, so it works back and forth. This was just a simple mistake, but you're exactly right. They lost a lot of ground that he's got to go back and race these guys that he was already better, and he was already marching towards his lead.
Talk about a nice day for Richard Childress Racing. Clint Bowyer leading the event. 1.9 seconds his advantage over second place Kyle Busch. You see Clint there, and his teammates knocking on the door again as well. Kevin Harvick, who started 22nd, has picked up 17 positions, currently in 5th. And Jeff Burton, who was very aggressive in practice yesterday, Wally, ran more laps than anyone, currently 6th.
You know, I really had picked Burton and Bowyer should have won races this year already. I mean, the Childress team has done such a great job turning this thing around from a year ago, and they are. You're right. They're knocking on the door, and I think once they get through that door, I think they're going to start winning a lot more races. It seems like it's so hard to win that first one, but once you get one under your belt, they start coming. But this whole team is running great.
Yeah, and the thing with that, exactly right. You just nailed it. The organization is running better.
See Casey Kane closing on Jeff Burton, Marty.
And Wally, it's exactly what Jeff Burton and I were talking about this morning. He said, you know, once we get that first win, it's just getting over that hump. And you guys know, once it comes, then all the confidence comes, and then the wins seem to come a little bit easier. Jeff truly believes that not only him, all 3 of these RCR cars could win a championship this year, let alone win races. And he took this racetrack, for example. He said, this is a racetrack where we haven't been very good lately, but we're all 3 very good today. And this is the type of track you have to get better at. You have to improve on those tracks where you're not very good, right, guys?
You know, one thing I was watching here, looking at Kyle, look at the tape on the 9 car. And, you know, I was talking to Larry, and if Larry, you're down there, you know, we were talking about this morning in one of our production meetings how I was asking you about this new engine, and you were saying that one thing about this new Ford engine is that you could run more tape, which actually helps on a racetrack like this because of the downforce, because, you know, these engines run cooler. Is that correct?
It is, but the irony, Wally, here at Pocono, the 9 car does not have the new engine package. And you're right, he has a lot of tape on that nose, but the only Richard